Hello everyone, I am Sohini Biswas, a third year law student from Adamus University. Currently, I am doing an internship at Lexus & Company. Today I am here to discuss a very important topic, that is reliability of circumstantial evidence. Now let us understand what is circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is used in criminal courts to decide the fate of the accused by establishing guilt or innocence through reasoning. According to Bentham, the witnesses are the eyes and ears of justice, but testimony of witnesses is not always credible. Therefore, facts are provable not only by witnesses but also by circumstances. Now, let us analyze the term circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is unrelated fact that, when considered together, can be used to infer a conclusion about something unknown. Information and testimony presented by a party in a civil or criminal action that permit conclusions that indirectly establish the existence or non-existence of a fact or event that the party seeks to prove. An example of circumstantial evidence is the behavior of the person around the time of an alleged offense. If someone were charged with theft of money and were they seen in a shopping spree purchasing expensive items, the shopping spree might be regarded as a circumstantial evidence of the individual's guilt. Similarly, if a witness arrives at a crime scene seconds after it occurred, hearing a gunshot to find someone standing over the corpse and holding a smoking pistol, the evidence is circumstantial since the person may merely be a bystander, not picked up by the weapon after the killer dropped it. The popular notion that one cannot be convicted on circumstantial evidence is false. Most criminal convictions are based at least or in part on circumstantial evidence that sufficiently links the criminal and the crime. Circumstantial evidence is also known as indirect evidence. Circumstantial evidence is usually a theory supported by significant quantity of corroborating evidence. The distinction between direct and circumstantial evidence is important because, with the obvious exceptions, the immature, incompetent, or nearly all criminals are careful to not generate a direct evidence and try to avoid demonstrating criminal intent. Therefore, to prove the mens rea level of purposely or knowingly, the prosecution usually resort to circumstantial evidence. The same goes for tort feasors. In the law of tort, if one needs to prove a high level of mens rea to obtain punitive damages. Now, let us understand if circumstantial evidence can be the sole basis for conviction. Ordinarily, circumstantial evidence cannot be regarded as direct evidence, and with this regard, there have been a popular misconception that is, circumstantial evidence is less valid or less important as compared to the direct evidence. This is only partly true. Direct evidence is generally considered more powerful, but successful criminal prosecutions often rely largely on circumstantial evidence, and civil charges are frequently based on circumstantial or indirect evidence. In practice, circumstantial evidence often has an advantage over direct evidence that is, it is more difficult to suppress or fabricate. Thus, the judiciary in the following landmark judgment has ruled important role played by the circumstantial evidence, which can be the sole basis for conviction. In Ramavati Devi versus State of Bihar, wherein it was held that what evidentiary value or weight has to be attached to such statement must necessarily depend on the fact and circumstances of each particular case. In proper case, it may be permissible to convict a person only on the basis of dying declaration in the light of the fact and circumstances of the case. As pointed out by Justice Fazal Ali in V.C. Shukla versus the state, in most cases it will be difficult to get a direct evidence of the agreement, but a conspiracy can be inferred even from circumstances, giving rise to a conclusive or irresistible inference of an agreement between two or more persons to commit the offence. As per Justice Wadhwa in Nalini's case, the well-known rule governing circumstantial evidence is that each and every incriminating circumstance must be clearly established by reliable evidence, and The circumstances proved must form a chain of events from which the only irresistible conclusion about the guilt of an accused can be safely drawn and no other hypothesis against the guilt is possible. Similarly, in famous case of Bodhraj versus the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the court held that circumstantial evidence can be the sole basis for conviction provided the condition as stated, that is, the circumstance from which the guilt is established must be fully proved, that all the fact must be consistent with the hypothesis of the guilt of the accused, that the circumstance must be a conclusive nature and tendency, and lastly that the circumstances should not be a moral certainty, actually exclude every hypothesis except the one proposed to be proved. Now let us get to conclusion. The whole discussion essentially brings us back to the fundamental question of whether circumstantial evidence is the sole basis of conviction or not, and whether it is reliable or not. Undoubtedly, circumstantial evidence plays a very important role in the criminal cases heavily based on the circumstantial evidence. The circumstantial evidence which helped the prosecution nail in various landmark cases mentioned as in the video based on circumstances are reliable. A popular misconception is that the circumstantial evidence is less valid or less important than direct evidence is not wholly true. This is only partly true. Direct evidence is generally considered more powerful, but most of the successful criminal prosecutions have relied on circumstantial evidence, and the civil charges are also frequently based on circumstantial or direct evidence. Where the case is not based on substantially circumstantial evidence, a modified direction in respect of circumstantial evidence may be appropriate when summing up in respect of the offense which is based entirely on the substantiality of the circumstantial evidence. Thank you.